Hello everyone and welcome to this special weekday Motor Trade Radio podcast, powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising, with Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson, bringing you all the chatter that matters across the franchised and independent dealer sectors.
Hello and welcome from Philip and I to this special Motor Trade Radio weekday podcast interview. Today, we're delighted to be joined by Ian Godbold, one of the most respected consultants in the car retailing sector. Ian's been running his own consultancy business for over 2 years, and in that time has been working with some of the best known and biggest dealer groups in the UK, giving him a unique insight into the trends impacting the sector. Ian's here to talk today about what he's seeing in the sector at what is a challenging time following the budget and the recent Court of Appeal ruling on finance commissions. So lots to talk about, Ian, and welcome back to the pod.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thrilled to be here. Long-time fan of the show, as you know, but now it's become my must-listen, go-to webinar, just catching up on everything that seems to be happening in our industry.
I can't believe it's 2 years since we last spoke and you were setting up the business.
Yeah, that seems like yesterday.
It
really
does.
does. It has gone so quick.
Yeah.
I think this last week's gone so quick as well, Ian, to be fair, but we'll get on about that in a minute. So, I mean, it's great to have you on to the podcast, as we know, and you know, there's lots for us to try and talk about, and we're not going to get through everything because there's so much going on in the sector at the minute. But we must start off. I mean, we had the great opportunity to sort of bump into each other, get a bit of a selfie down at the AM Live this week, and it seems to be the annual opportunity for me and Curtis to actually see each other in person. But I mean, from your perspective, you obviously spent the whole day there. I think you were the first one there and the last one to leave. But you know, what's your feedback? What do you think about the event? What things interest you? What's kind of keynote presentations and conversations and panel discussions? You know, what were your highlights of the day, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a fantastic show put on by AM this year. Some fantastic suppliers, some fantastic partners that we work with. I was the first in, probably the last out, and still never got round to every single stand. So that just goes to show how many people were there. It was a great networking opportunity, and really, really good show. I mean, some of the highlights for me, I got into a few of the workshops, but one of the ones that really stood out for me was the one with Andy Whitehair, where he was hosting Sam Luscombe and Alex Jones, and them talking about the 5 essentials of good stock management from the Auto Infinity guys. Really, really good. I always enjoy listening to those two talk anyway. There's real proper operators. I thought that was really good, and some of the suppliers there were absolutely fantastic. So it was a real good opportunity, I think, for dealers to really get in there and see what's happening and see what the opportunities are. And our tech is moving so fast in our sector with the emergence of AI, and it's good to get a view of what's available in the marketplace.
We've already said how quickly things move in our sector, and it's actually now 3 weeks on since the Court of Appeal ruling on dealers needing to disclose the commission they make on finance sales. The ruling was unexpected. What feedback have you had from dealers to it, and how have they responded to maintain their compliance?
I mean, firstly, it was a shock. No one was expecting that. All decisions, we didn't think it would be that one. But I think there's been a real resilience and agility showed by our sector. Certainly the software companies and the brokers, they were in that weekend, updating, changing their systems in order for dealers to still operate. I think it's only a matter of time, though, before it went to full disclosure. I mean, what needs to happen within the dealership is they need to make sure they've got the right processes and they follow those processes and explain the benefits of why they sell finance and making it affordable for those consumers. What we've seen in the last couple of weeks, well, the first week we saw leads generated to the same volumes, but the conversion wasn't there because obviously there was a lot of finance houses wasn't offering the finance. But certainly what we saw last week, the sort of level seemed to have returned and conversion also seems to be good. We also got access, obviously, to telcos where we've got conversational analytics, and we can start to see what's being said on the telephone, what feedback. We have seen the odd example of the consumer saying that, okay, you're going to earn this much money. Can you take it off the price of the car? So how that's handled within the dealership will require some
Yeah.
education, or require process, and just really sort of selling those benefits. But consumers still need finance and still need an affordable option.
Yeah, this is the thing, and buying it at the point of sale is a major part of that convenience. And certainly from what you're saying, Ian, it sounds as though we're pretty much where we would have been, in terms of normality, in terms of finance sales.
Yeah, that's what we saw. As I say, we saw that dip that first week, and that was expected. But it has, it's returned back to the levels we saw before the announcement.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ian, like the dealers need any more challenges in the automotive sector, but I say in particular the dealers, you know, 3 weeks ago we had the budget that we were anticipating and what was going to come from the budget, but you know, the national insurance increase, the threshold decrease, in addition to minimum wage, and all the other tax changes that are implemented for the future. I mean, what are the key concerns you're hearing in your conversations at probably more CEO, CFO level? What are they sort of talking about, and what is and how are they thinking how to sort of mitigate these challenges as well?
You mentioned it there. NI seems the one that they're all talking about. The increase to some of these businesses, some of the franchises, the increase of NI is absolutely huge. So they've got to really deep dive into their costs and understand how they can gain further efficiencies. But it's a massive concern for them. Obviously, interest rates as well, but obviously they've moved back slightly a little bit. So hopefully that will help. But say NI is the big one that they're all talking about.
And is it? I mean, obviously that is high on the agenda. Is it that the biggest concern, because it is a big cost without really opportunity to earn anything, to cover it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's just further costs that they never had previously, and as we know, but margins can be challenged as it is. So, you've also got the increased cost, the economic uncertainty within. Yeah, there's a number of things you could talk about, but I think national insurance is the one thing that everybody that I'm speaking to at the moment is the first thing on their lips.
You're listening to All the Chatter That Matters on a special weekday episode of Motor Trade Radio. Powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising.
Now, Ian, as we near the end of the year, what are your observations on year-to-date trading that you're seeing across the sector? How would you describe the mood of the dealers you're talking to?
No, I think we're still in a very buoyant market, particularly in used cars, and I think that will continue till the end of the year. Obviously, we know we moved to the seasonality time where it's going to get a little bit quieter over the coming weeks up until Christmas. But I think it's been a very strong, particularly used car market, and it'll be strong again next year. New car, we know the concerns within new cars, and how to increase those sales and educate people with EV. But I think it's been a strong market. I think the dealers have been focused on increasing their stock turn, decreasing their days to sell, but also maximising that potential profit opportunities.
And looking specifically at stock turn, are there any notable trends that you're seeing, or are there any best practices that you're actively promoting at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's. I mean, we first of all, we're in an amazing position that we work in the UK marketplace. The data available from our classified channels and suppliers, I challenge anyone that if you don't hit your used car budget, there must be something significantly wrong, because the data that's available, it allows you to source correctly. Buy right, merchandise the vehicle right, price the vehicle to the desirability of that vehicle, and then handle your leads effectively. You should be hitting your used car budget or your new car budget. The data available is second to none. And I work in some international markets, and that data's not available. that data is not available. We do not know how lucky we are to work in the UK marketplace.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, you touched on EVs slightly there, and I know that we spoke earlier that you're doing some work on EVs at the minute, but obviously clearly EV is the big conversation, particularly in the UK, but it's not unique to the UK. But obviously, with the ZEV mandate in the UK, is triggering a lot of challenges, a lot of pressures from the OEMs through to the dealers, and obviously, we know from the SMMT data that new registrations, especially for EVs, is being driven by fleet, with retail demand still a challenge and just being down over 10% in the year to date. I mean, what are you seeing on the ground in terms of how dealers are addressing that EV retail sales challenge, and how are you helping them through this?
Yeah, I mean, many dealers recognise that the consumer hesitancy stems from the lack of EV technology and understanding that, and the concerns about the infrastructure range and overall value. But to address this, you're seeing some fantastic in-depth consultancy events. They're also doing extended test drives, so take the vehicle for 48 hours, and just sort of really educated the consumer of the tax benefits, the reduction in the pence per mile, and sort of focusing on those areas. You're also seeing some good finance incentives, obviously some 0% finance incentives to take EV cars. So there's a lot happening within dealers, but I mean they can do more. I think what I see, looking at it from a marketeer's point of view, huge opportunity in there for the dealer community in trying to take more and more share, website traffic share, in the fact of electrification, and educating those consumers on their own website and driving some more and more website traffic that's looking at electrification. Because if they focus on SEO, search engine optimization, they can really start to take some share and become real sort of a destination website to educate those dealers, and particularly promoting the pence per mile.
And finally, Ian, your consultancy business is now 2 years old. You've just celebrated your second anniversary. What do you expect to be keeping you and the business busy in 2025?
Well, I'm very lucky. I'm working with some very forward-thinking dealers that want to continue to improve sales performance. They want to maximise profits, and they want to get the best return out of their marketing budgets. I also work with some tech partners as well. I'm involved in their technological roadmap and delivering what's going to be useful for the dealer and what's going to be easy to use for the dealer, and really sort of assisting them with the implementation and, importantly, the integration of how it's going to improve their business.
And you've already mentioned that you're doing quite a bit of international work. What are you seeing in some of those markets?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I do quite a bit of work in Spain. I mean, one thing you're probably seeing is Dana. I do work with some representatives in the Valencia area, and obviously that's been shocking what we've seen over there.
Yes,
We
yeah.
lost three dealerships over there. But again, the resilience and the community spirit of the community over there, and the fact that there was ability to go and get a car, and your first payment is 6 months deferred. The ability that if you pay cash, there's going to be a huge lump sum off. They're really helping drive to try and get consumers back on the road. But also, we've seen dealers actually open up as food and drink banks, and that really sort of puts it into context, the
Yes.
humility of the people in the community within that area. So that's been the last few weeks has been a concentration. Last month I was over there. We obviously in the UK we're having a bit of a problem trying to source stock over there. I've just managed to get hold of 9,000 vehicles that are coming off a rental from the holiday market. So 5,000 Stellantis cars that you've suddenly got to get to the marketplace, and how are you going to dispose of them? So what you see at this time of year is a real reduction in the value of those vehicles. So make and models drop significantly with them coming back on the marketplace. So that's been interesting and quite a challenge, but a good one. And I'm back over there next week. We're launching a subscription model between the top 5 dealer groups over there, so there's a spread of risk. But obviously, subscription model, and they're looking at more new car registrations, and then creating pools of used stock. So that's very exciting, and one I'm looking forward to getting back over there.
And I should imagine a lot of listeners listening to this will be wishing that those Stellantis cars were right-hand drive, and they'd be onto you immediately.
No, absolutely, and it's Spain where I am. It's the problem is Spain prices are usually pretty good, so they have a problem importing those into the other countries because the cost is so high. So it's been a real challenge, but it's been great, but very educational. And I'm putting some strategies in place for how it can be a lot easier for them this time next year. So hopefully that will come to fruition.
Brilliant. I mean, we could have you on here for hours, and there's so much going on, Ian, that there's so much to talk about and get through. I mean, for me, fascinating with some of the sort of views that you're involved, some of the things that you're getting involved with, the feedback that you're getting from the dealers, the work that you're doing with the dealers and helping them become more efficient, think about it a little bit differently, think about the marketing, think about the SEO a little bit differently and things like that. So, and I'm a huge follower of you in the social space and watch all the little videos that you do with a little bit of sound bites of advice and things to the dealer network. So huge thanks for coming on, and we'll try not to leave it 2 years. I can't believe 2 years has gone by to begin with, but we'll try not to leave it 2 years before we get you back on again, because there's 2 years' time. There's going to be a lot more for us to try and get through, I suspect. But huge thank you for coming on, Ian. It's been a pleasure to have you on, as always.
Thank you so much, guys. As I say, big fan of the show.
Yeah, many thanks, Ian, for coming on. And we that's all we've got time for. We hope you've enjoyed this weekday special. Many thanks once again to Ian for joining us for today's pod. We're back with the headlines on Saturday. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Thank you for listening to this special weekday Motor Trade Radio podcast, powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising. Philip and Curtis will be back with the week's big motor retailing headlines on Saturday. Live, on demand, wherever you are, on your podcast feed.